If you're a great positional player who prefers closed or semi-closed middle game, there is a high probability that you already have the Catalan Opening in your repertoire. But also if you are interested in a solid, slow-tempo middle game with a long-lasting edge, then again, the Catalan may be a choice to consider. Let's see the basic idea behind it so you can start testing it in no time. This is the starting point of the Catalan, to which you can get in a couple of ways, but the most common is through the Queen's Gambit. That means going through d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, knight f6, and g3. But also when black tries to push you into the Nimzo Indian, Queen's Indian, and such things with knight f6 and e6, then you can just play g3 and prevent the Queen's Indian, which actually happens in case of knight f3 and b6. So we do not go there, we play g3 here, preventing b6, allowing them to play probably d5, the most common reply in this position, after which you just play knight f3 or bishop g2 anyway you're getting into the Catalan. This means you don't need to prepare Queen's Gambit or Nimzo Indian or Queen's Indian, you just save your time playing Catalan. And why are we getting our light square bishop? It seems so counterintuitive because the h1 AA diagonal is about to get locked by the black's pawn triangle. You know, they're going to be playing c6, and then we get this 3 pawns of black in the center locking our light square bishop once it comes to g2. And that's exactly what the Catalan Opening player wants. Because on the other end, look carefully, what do we have? There will be a much worse bishop in black's camp, that one on c8. And without that bishop getting into the game, black's position cannot be good. And the Catalan is about black trying to revive the dead piece, the bishop on c8, while white is trying to keep it behind the pawns. In this situation, our g2 bishop is preventing their c6, c5 pawn push. A typical thing that black wants in the Catalan. Now, if you can keep them away from pushing c5, their bishop is going to stay passive behind the pawn, which also should be seen as a weakness in black's camp. Now, here white is safe from c6, c5 and free to continue with the building on position, say developing the last undeveloped piece, rook ac1, for example. Sometimes black is ready to push the c6 pawn because their b7 bishop is being protected by their queen. And in those cases, we'll look for our c4 pawn and ask for help, because pushing it to c5 may be a good idea. I know we are weakening d5, we are weakening our pawn on d4, becomes backwards, but look at their b7 bishop. It's going to be locked forever. And also the c6 pawn is suddenly a target for us. If you want to see how this worked for me in practice in a blitz game against a friend of mine, be patient, it is coming next. Just before it starts, I'd really appreciate if you'd write down your opinion on the method I used this time dealing with the topic, comparing with those in the past. Is it too narrow or maybe straight to the point? My opponent is rated about 1900 FIDE and is a well-known organizer of the biggest chess events in the region back in the 90s. We have c6 on the third move, which is threatening the c4 pawn actually, and that's why we had queen c2. There is this Catalan g3, and black is trading dark square bishops, which is not a recommended thing to do because all pawns are on the light squares. h6 is also a waste of time, and then finally black is going to try to develop the light square bishop via b7 square, and here a thematic thingy for opening the center, or better to say destroying this pawn chain that black formed with the light square pawns, not because of helping the black's bishop but because of helping our own on g2. Looks a little bit weird to push c5 at this point, but we're getting the d6 square, plus there is never going to be c6, c5. Okay, so trading the knights on f6 would be a good idea, because without the knights on the board, the d5 square is not going to be a weakness. It wouldn't work as an outpost for black's pieces. There is going to be an idea of trading the second pair of knights, so with the knight f3, e5, that's why we had rook e1. That's the way to eliminate the second piece that can actually reach the outpost d5. Plus there is the d6 square outpost for white's rooks, potentially. And exactly that's where white is heading. You can see obviously how white is dominating the board with a much better light square bishop. Solidifying the c5 pawn with the b4 is always a good idea. The rook d6 move is gonna come at any moment, so black is in real trouble here. Trading rooks would not be actually any help because the other rook would come to d6. The rook is coming to d1, and eventually it should end with white getting a passer on the 6th rank. Unless black tries something aggressive, like f6 indeed, and I try to undermine the white center, but it doesn't really work. There are plenty of ways now for white, but this is also fine, trading the pawns and creating a weakness on e6. The move h4 is done because the idea is to, at some point, do something with the rook from the first rank, and then the back rank is a little bit of a problem because the queen a1 check and you don't want to have your bishop on f1. This way the king is going to end up on h2 and nothing is wrong. So no checks will be actually dangerous for white. The game is now going in the direction of attacking the weak pawns of black everywhere on the board. The one that first falls is going to be the pawn on e6, obviously. But overall, you can see that the problem of black is that bishop on b7, it doesn't really play any role in this position except of just being a terrible piece. Yeah, some tricks are there. Maybe black can try here, and but it doesn't work if you are cautious enough. On e6 pawn is gonna fall in various ways. Basically, you can win it. This is the simplest possible way. You just take a straightforward on e6, and also c6 is hanging, but you can push b5 here. That was something that I missed. b5 and b takes c6 would be completely over, but instead I went for just really materialistic way of taking the second pawn and entering the queen's endgame with 2 extra pawns, which is again clearly winning. I was shaking my head a little bit because I felt like there must have been something better for me to do than getting into this kind of endgame. Simply the game looked like so great, like so great that I felt like I needed to gain more material than that. But anyway, you got the point. You know, what is the perspective of playing the Catalan? What are you actually looking for? How you're trying to organize your game? Remember, the e4 plan is very important to open diagonal, grab more space, and make more difficult for the black's light square bishop to get active. Along with that, of course, c4, c5 idea is thematic thing in the Catalan. Back to the game, there is nothing that can be done by black here. White just pushes the b pawn and promotes eventually. The only thing that white needs to be careful about is the f2 pawn, but the queen is guarding that square, and black is really without any chance here to save or make the game more complicated. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it and maybe found another interesting opening to test. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.